All right, thank you. I'd like to welcome everybody to the February 8th meeting of the MPO Technical Advisory Committee. I'd like to call the meeting to order right now. The second item on our agenda is public comment on agenda items. Before I open up the floor, I'd like to make a note that this comment period for the public is specifically about items that are on our agenda. Today, I understand there are people here that wish to speak about some non-agenda items. I'd ask you to please hold those comments until number 9, the hearing of the public at the end. So with that, I will open the floor to anybody that has any comments on the items on the agenda today. All right, thank you. Hearing none, I'll move on to the next item, which is election of chairperson and vice chairperson. I will open the floor for nominations for a new chairperson for 2023.
I would nominate Matt Waldinger as chairperson.
Second it.
We have a nomination on the floor. Is there any discussion? If not, I'll call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, thank you. I appreciate the vote of confidence. I'm happy to serve another year. Next, I'll open the floor for a nomination for vice chairperson for 2023.
And I would nominate Leanne Farmer as vice chairperson.
Second it.
Thank you. We have a nomination. Any discussion? Okay, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Congratulations,
Thank you very
Leanne.
much.
Thanks, Lee.
Next item are the minutes for the November 9th Technical Advisory Committee meeting. I hope everybody's had a chance to review the minutes that Emily sent around. I would open the floor for a motion on accepting the minutes.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on the minutes or any corrections? Okay, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor of approving the minutes from the November 9th meeting, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next we have updates on the 2023 to 2026 Transportation Improvement Program. First item would be an informational item from Brandon Leach. Brandon, are you with us?
Yes, Matt, can you hear me?
We can.
All right, thank you. So we have a couple items I'll cover today. The first will be the informational item, and then there's also a transit modification as well as a few tip modifications that did not require MPO coordinating committee approval, as well as at the end we'll cover the amendment that was approved by the coordinating committee last month. So with that being said, if you look at informational item number 1 on your packet, that is a move to decrease the construction phase funding on the I-90 mile marker 3.5 to 7 reconstruct project. This money, this $12 million in NHPP funds went back to the interstate contingency line item. So moving on, we also have on the next page a transit modification that was an addition of $2 million in federal 5307 funds to the, sorry, it was the EMTA Joint Operations Facility construction, and it'll make improvements such as concrete slab, HVAC, plumbing, and electric. And this project was moved from the 2021 tip to the 2023 tip for the transit, EMTA tip. Moving on to the highway bridge modifications. There were a total of 12 administrative modifications as well. Excuse me one second. Okay, so sorry about that. There were a total of 12 administrative modifications to the 2023 Erie MPO tip. Most of these were cash flow exercises with projects. Some of the moves involved taking money from one phase of the same project, one phase and moving it to another phase of the same project. But administrative modifications 11 and 12, I'll touch on real briefly because they involved the addition of Highway Safety Improvement Program funding. This funding is required by, because we're under a statewide penalty with our safety targets, it's required that we obligate a certain amount of funds. So anytime we can put HSIP funds on projects and have that obligated in the fiscal year, that is a great thing. So we have 2 modifications to add HSIP funds to the Hammett Road to Oliver Road intersection project, as well as the Bayfront Parkway at 6th Street intersection improvement. And the last item I was going to cover was the amendment that was approved by the coordinating committee via e-ballot on January 13th of this year. And that was, as we discussed at the last meeting, to basically add the Niemeyer Road Bridge project back onto the 2023 tip. This was an amendment because it was over $2 million and involved federal funding. This was, like I said, approved by the coordinating committee and then was subsequently approved by FHWA on January 31st of this year. Those are all the actions I was going to cover today, but I'm willing to answer any questions if there are any.
Hey, thank you, Brandon. Does anybody from the committee have any questions for Brandon? Okay, then I guess we'll move on to, well, I guess Brandon covered the e-ballot results. Emily, did you want to speak to
Oh,
them?
yeah, Emily can do that if she wants to. Yeah.
I just wanted to thank everyone who did vote by e-ballot. And since we're at a public meeting, if anyone would like to change or amend their votes, they are free to do so now. Other than that, the vote did pass in favor with a quorum. All right, hearing none, the vote stands.
And next, we'll stay with Emily for a transportation study funds application information.
Yes, so there are some Unified Planning Work Program funds available to municipalities and transportation authorities looking to do a transportation study. So starting July 1st, 2023, there will be a total of $72,649 available, requiring around 9% match. So it comes to $80,000 total for a study. It would need that $7,351 local match for the funds, but this is open for applications. And if anyone is interested, you can return them to me by April 24th, 2023. So we have some time to think about this before the MPO would have to vote on allocating these funds. Preference will be given to studies that have been in a planning document, such as the long range transportation plan. And I can send out a reminder of what those studies were to everyone after the meeting, if that would be helpful, so that everyone has that. So those will receive preference in funding.
And I do think that would be helpful if you could share that.
Yeah,
That would be
I
great.
can do that.
All right, well, moving on to other business. The first item is a TIP project update with Ron Johnson.
Morning, everybody. You probably have seen in the packet that we provided the newsletter that's a little different than we've had in the past. I think Courtney probably has mentioned that before, that we're making some changes there, some updates, hoping to make that newsletter a little more fresh and just so everyone getting the information that they'd like to see on there. So you'll see that there's all the counties in our district, have our district one. You can scroll down to your specific county you're interested in. And what we're hoping to do, each month, and as time goes on, that we'll talk about the consultant type design projects and more major projects, and then we'll talk about some in-house design projects that are on construction, and so on and so forth. And this month, the newsletter, design services, those will be our consultant design projects this year. And we had updates on there for the Bayfront. We're still working for finalizing the pedestrian bridge design, and that's still ongoing. The next project on there you see is that 4034 SOO, the eastern portion of the Bayfront. That project, again, we're still striving for the finish line with that one. We're working with the railroad and utilities to finalize that plan and get that built. There are some railroad would like us to install some safety features on the project that we were just going through all the different iterations of coordinating with that. Yeah, that's still moving along. And the last on the Erie portion is the Depot Road project. And you can see we're still working our way through the environmental one right away. We did have some delays. We had to move that day, and sorry about that. I misunderstood how long it was going to take to coordinate with some rather large right of way negotiations, and it was taking a little bit longer, so we had to kind of push that update out to give us enough time to clear out. One other thing I wanted to mention while I'm before, we've talked about it before, the Sassafras pedestrian bridge project is kind of works in the early stages of design. We talked about one of the reconnected communities grant that we had applied for. We still haven't received word back yet if we're successful with that grant. But there are always new grants coming out, and Emily has pointed in, in the direction of a few new ones. I tried to look for some more information here in the last few days on due dates and all that sort of thing. Because what we'd like to do is wait to hear back on the first grant, because a lot of times what they'll do is they'll give us a debrief, say, hey, your grant, but use a little help here and there. So we didn't want to, we did a lot of work. A lot of people were involved in this proven on with applying for that grant. So we wanted to be sure that we were reusing that to apply for other grants. And we don't want to, if there's suggestions that can be made that improve it slightly, we'd like to get as much knowledge out of that as we can and use that to apply for any new grants. So we are going to continue to look for them for that pedestrian bridge project. And again, we'll keep everybody up to date on our progress there. Last thing, again, I think many of you have probably heard that we've had some retirements at MDOT District 1. And now I've taken over the plans engineer position and design, and Mark Nicholson in front of me here is now the design services engineer. So you'll probably see him more in future. And again, anyone has any specific questions on projects, feel free to reach out to anyone, really, anyone. Mark, myself, as you all do.
We'd like to hear everybody's feedback on the newsletter. You can mail it to us. I know it's different than what it has been. You're probably used to seeing all the Erie projects in one newsletter. So we're doing things a little bit different, but if it's not working for people, we can do something else, and maybe we only update certain projects in the Erie newsletter each month. Again, there's trying to do, again, just freshen it up and do something a little different with the picture and the costs. The costs there include construction and design. So, and then there's also a time frame too, when we plan on opening the bids, or the let date as it's called. So looking for feedback from the group on that. So please share it with us, by email or tell us. So thank you again.
I think it's great. When I looked at it last week or whatever, the newsletter is awesome, and it just shows, I think, maybe we step back and take a look at, you got $130 million in projects in Erie County right now. I mean, I think we need to realize how fortunate we are that we're receiving these type of projects. I think it's great. Yeah, well done to whoever took this on.
One other nice feature too is if you click on the person's name on the electronic version, it'll send an email right to that project manager too, if you have a specific question. So that's when you have the electronic version. So like I said, we hope you like it, and again, open for feedback on it.
So Tom, how did you select the specific projects that made it into the newsletter?
Well, this month, we're focusing on, as Ron said, the ones that are designed by consultants.
Okay.
Now, we also have a group that are designed by our in-house staff. We have 3 bridge squads and we have 4 roadway squads that put together normally our smaller type projects, the things that we're really good at getting out and delivering quickly. These are our more challenging right-of-way utilities, things like that you can see around the district. So we thought we'd hit our big projects first, but every month will be a little different. Then we also have one like our local projects, the local paving projects that we do, local bridges. So, and then, like I said, we'll update them a few times a year. So maybe once we get all these, maybe we'll include all the newsletters in, but only focus on maybe the one that we're talking about that month. So, but we'll see how it goes.
All right, great. Well, thank you, Tom and Ron and Tim. I think well said. I think it's a great new format and looking forward to seeing them as they come out each month. Next up, we may have federal updates. I know Ronnie Bishop from Federal Highways couldn't join us today, but is Abby Lowe, are you available?
Do not believe she's on the Zoom, so probably not.
All right.
But I will say we skipped over Leanne accidentally. So the local use fee subcommittee, number 7.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I
Sorry.
jumped the
No,
whole
it's
agenda.
okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If you want to go ahead, Leanne, we'll go back up.
I just wanted to do a little recruitment for the local use fee subcommittee. The committee was established to make recommendations to the MPO coordinating committee on how to spend the $5 local use fee funds that are accumulated by the car registration fund. So anybody that's on MPO or TAC or is an alternate is eligible to join. We meet twice a year, so it's not a big commitment, but we'd like to get some more voices and onto the committee. I also, Mark Bradle from PennDOT was on our committee. We want to thank him. He retired in December, but he was a great asset and helped us a lot on this committee. So anybody that wants to join, please contact Emily by March 1st. So we are a fun group, so come on and join us.
And just note on Mark Bradle, Mark did a lot with the bridges and the conditions of them and all the ratings. And, he retired in December here after a great 35-year career. But we'll have a competent person put back on there that will be able to give a good assessment of the bridges in Erie County and kind of a ranking, from the bridge perspective of what they feel is, which ones are the ones that rise to the level of needing updated first, rehabilitated. So don't have to worry about PennDOT's part on the committee. They'll still continue, hopefully seamlessly, but this Mark's definitely be hard to replace.
All right, great. Well, thank you and apologies again, Leanne. Sorry, I missed that. Okay, I guess next, under 8 other business C would be PennDOT central office updates. Either Kevin McCullough or Brandon Leap. Either of you like to give us some updates?
All right, Matt, I think I'll be doing it today. So this is Brandon again.
Oh,
Yeah, there's just a couple high level items to cover from the PennDOT side. First, I wanted to announce, if you haven't seen already, there is a highway safety survey out. PennDOT is seeking input on traffic safety and driving behaviors through an online survey, which can be found at the PennDOT website under safety. And basically this survey You can find it online there. It takes a few minutes to take, just gathering information on driver behavior, and is open from now until February 28th. And all responses are completely anonymous. So we just wanted to put that out there, you know, for the group here or for general public, anyone can participate in it. And just a reminder too, that information for traffic crashes, fatalities, and injuries can be found at the Pennsylvania Crash Information Tool, which is also available online. You may have heard of it as PSIT as well. And Emily, if you want, I can, because we're in a hybrid format, I can get all this information to you if you want to send to the TAC afterwards, if that sounds good.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. So another thing to cover is Safe Streets for All 2022 awards. On February 1st of this year, the US DOT announced $800 million in grant awards for 510 communities through the first round of funding for the Safe Streets and Roads for All program. And the city of Erie was actually awarded one of these. So the city was awarded $200,000 in 473 action plan funding for their Safe Streets action plan. So just wanted to bring that up since it is tied. Yep.
Can I interject?
Mhm.
This is Dave Forrest. I'd like to talk with perhaps you and Emily about that and how the cities might go forward. So if I can reach out to you folks, and I'll certainly include Leanne on that as well. I just want to get a sense of direction.
Sure thing.
Thank you.
Brandon, do you know if that has to be added to the TIP, the MPO TIP, those funds? No, okay, so it doesn't have to be added to the TIP.
Correct, it'll be a direct grant from FHWA to the city.
Okay,
And actually, we learned last week that PennDOT, it's a unique grant because normally grants that go through FHWA have to go through a state agency. This one does not. So the grant agreement will be directly between FHWA and the city, and they will work together to get the project done. I mean, we can help, we can, answer questions and look things up, but it does not have to go through us.
okay. Thank you, that's good to know.
Okay. So moving on, that's all I really wanted to cover today with the Safe Streets for All award. I'll cover now the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure, or NEVI, program. PennDOT announced a notice of funding opportunity for round 1 of this program. And this is a program used to help support funding for electric vehicle infrastructure across the state. The application period for this will open on February 24th and will be open until April 6th. Like I said earlier, I'll be able to send any applicable links to Emily that she can send out to the group for then, but just wanted to make you aware that that will be open in about a couple weeks here, February 24th. Last thing I wanted to touch on was the automated red light enforcement program. That there was an announcement on January 4th that the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation will distribute approximately $15 million in automated red light enforcement, or as we say in PennDOT, ARLI funding, to 32 municipalities statewide to fund 36 safety projects. And Erie City was also a recipient of one of these awards. It was $395,769 for the installation of 30 accessible pedestrian signal buttons to improve pedestrian safety.
It's actually 30 intersections, so.
Oh, did I say?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think it was. But yeah, thank you very much.
Mhm.
It'll make our intersections safer. We appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Other than that, I don't believe I had anything else to cover, unless Kevin, if you think I'm missing anything. We should be good on the PennDOT update side. So
Yep,
I'll take
think
any
we're good.
questions.
I think we're good. Thank you, Brandon.
Hey, Brandon, this is
Mhm.
Tim from Harbor Creek.
Yep.
Any updates? I know this is more of a DEP grant, but the on-road rebate program, are you familiar with that at all?
I'm afraid I can't comment on that right now, or I wouldn't have the information right now, so.
The electric vehicle grant, and I'm just wondering if that is taking away from other grants. Just wondering if you had any information on that.
I can definitely look into that. Yeah, because there is a cooperative between DEP and PennDOT for a lot of this EV funding, so.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. If you hear something, maybe next meeting or whatever.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and I did want to mention on a side note, I believe she's on with us, but this is just for personnel purposes. We do have a new employee with the Western MPO section at PennDOT Central Office. Julia Cornell, she started with us on Monday of this week. So just wanted to let you know that she'll be on board, and we'll look to get up to Erie sometime soon, and we'll be able to all meet. So, but that's about it.
All right, well, thank you, Brandon, and welcome, Julia. Anybody have any additional questions for Brandon? Okay, we do have one additional item of other business. Jason Sayers would like to make an announcement about a public meeting.
Yes, good morning, everybody. I have a Aqua Bridge update for the group. I'd like to thank the MPO for all their past support of this project. As you know, we had the demolition phase that the MPO was involved with, and then we went into the design phase, which is where we're at now. So on Thursday, February 23rd, from 5:30 to 7:30, our consultant Trans Systems will be in to facilitate a public meeting that'll be held in council chambers at Erie City Hall. And they're going to be at that meeting presenting a couple of bridge alternatives for the public to see, and then go over the preliminary design elements that they've put together for us so far. So again, thanks to the group for their support on this one. Appreciate it.
All right, anybody have any questions for Jason?
What was that date again?
It'll be Thursday, February 23rd, City Council chambers beginning at 5:30.
All right. Well, thank you, Jason. Next, we'll move on to number 9, hearing of the public. I understand that there are a few people that wish to speak both in person. Oh, I'm sorry.
Before we
Mr.
go
Mitchell.
to hearing the public, can I bring up an additional item?
Yes, please.
Okay, well, I've got the public too. What I wanted to ask was, I'm on the land bank board also, and we just granted Mill Creek last week our support on the East Peninsula project. It's very complex. I know you're sitting up nights, but the question I have for the MPO is the traffic patterns, et cetera, in that intersection. What kind of work have we done? What kind of work has Mill Creek done to look at that intersection? I think is a perfect candidate for roundabout because of all the merging roads. But, and I know Sheets is building there, probably, but on the other side, there's going to be a lot of land open when Joe Roots and the bar and the other buildings go down. I just want to know if there's been dialogue on improvements on that intersection, because this is going to be the gateway intersection to the peninsula. That's how Mill Creek is defining it. They're going to take down the Bel Air Hotel and in most of the buildings right in that corridor. And then they're going to open it up for economic development for new buildings and new commercial. So I'm sure that through that development, there's gonna be some impacts on how that intersection is looked at, because that's one of the busiest intersections in Erie County, and it's a challenge. I mean, it's a challenge with Sixth Street and then with Eighth Street and then all the crossroads going through. So I just want to put that in front of everybody. Has Mill Creek done anything with that on dialogue with PennDOT?
Well, and I don't want to speak for PennDOT, but PennDOT is looking at a betterment project on Peninsula Drive. I believe it's currently in the design phase now, but maybe somebody from PennDOT could weigh in. We haven't had specific discussions about that. We've talked about the corridor in general.
Okay, because, you know, now's the time if you're gonna do anything to widen, et cetera. You know, by getting that land freed up, you really need to do it now than later. So I just want to put that in front of our group here, that, you know, we should be paying attention to that. And I appreciate Erie with that project, that's moving right along so good. Thank you.
And Dave, we did walk through that on a phone in Wilbur. There was several people involved at PennDOT, was looking at each intersection, traffic, like, so it's been talked about.
Good, because now it's a reality. And, you know, it wasn't in discussion, now the money's been put on the table, so.
And there was a lot of good discussion on ideas and looking at stuff, so.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
I think we also need to be cautious as well on one of the busiest intersection in Erie for 4 months out of the year. I think you just need to be careful about pledging money before we really see how this plays out, because I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, like I said, to hearing of the public, I know there are quite a few people both in person and online that wish to speak. Just for ease of kind of managing the comments, I'm going to ask that the people that are present here in the room speak first. If you are online and you do wish to speak, if you would please use the button to raise your hand. And once the people in the room are done, then we'll move on to the commenters online. So with that, I'd like to open the floor to anybody here that would like to speak. Yes.
Stand up.
If you'd like, yeah, sure.
I'm Kathy Weiser. I live at 2704 Green Garden Boulevard. And we're here about the Green Garden Active Erie bike lane. We kind of disappointed. We just want to express that today, that we were kind of brought in at the 11th hour. We feel like we weren't given notice. Things are kind of in a final phase now. And January 21st, we received a letter from the city telling us that we're in the final phase and that our on-street parking will probably be eliminated with this plan. I'm not going to read you the whole letter, but that was the first that the neighbors, 95 households, 95 tax-paying households were notified that we're going to lose our on-street parking and that a barrier is going to be put up. I don't know if any studies were done on Green Garden travel-wise for the amount of traffic that goes through there. It's also a main being brought in at the 11th hour. We don't have that information. We're looking forward to, we know the city is trying to coordinate a meeting for us now when we actually get a seat at the table and have our voices heard. We've got a lot of questions and I won't bring all those up today because I know this is, I just want to put a statement about how disappointed we were and discouraged. Then I saw the post that you just talked about with the Aqua Bridge project. And there's items on there. This meeting will provide the public with project developments as well as serve as a forum to present new bridge alternatives and solicit public feedback. Public comment will also be taken at this meeting. Just wondering, as representative for our neighborhood, why we weren't afforded the same opportunity. We didn't have that opportunity before we got to a final stage. So I just want to make sure I go over everything. So I'm just curious, like why there's different procedures, why the same procedures weren't covered with us. I mean, that, for us to lose that on-street parking is huge. I don't know if any of you travel on Green Garden Boulevard, but it is heavily traveled. And to remove that parking, there's, you know, from emergency vehicles, safety issues to deliveries. And Amazon and FedEx and UPS deliveries are not gonna go away. If anything, I'm sure they're gonna increase over the next few years. That's the way of the times now. Where are those vehicles going to pull to? We have a lot of concerns how we're gonna get city services. Those trees that we have on Green Garden do a lot of shedding. We get a lot of leaves, we get a lot of bark, we get a lot of also street mess, just from the volume of traffic. We need the street cleaner to be able to operate there. We need that cleaned up. It's not gonna be safe for bikers, definitely, if they can't get in there and clean that up. We're not against the bike path. We just are against losing our on-street parking, and we're against having barriers put up so that that parking is not available. If an emergency vehicle comes down there, where's the vehicle gonna pull to? And that could be a difference of life or death, or your house burning down. So we're just looking to get a seat at the table to let you know that as far as we're concerned, it's not needed, it's not wanted, and it's not safe. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
I'll just go ahead, since I'm probably the only other green gardener here. I live right across the street from Kathy. And I poured over the plan that came into my hands, the 2017 plan is now becoming the 2023 plan, which looks like it's the 2017 plan without a lot of the detail. And it only focuses on Green Garden, Boulevard, and French Street. And I've looked at the map, this map I'm talking about, that shows all the different LPS, low stress, high stress. And I can, you know, it's easy for me to build a better case for finishing the perimeter down 38th and around Pittsburgh and up, because they don't have to go through 26th Street intersection, bikers will be on Pittsburgh. You go under the overpass. That's a big plus for Pittsburgh in my mind. But it doesn't seem to be considered, you know, with whatever money, I guess there's 350,000 that came as a grant for this particular part of the project. Thanks, Emily, for being so kind to email me back so many times. I appreciate it, but I'm just trying to wrap my head around how this all came about. Why are we putting any money into Green Garden Boulevard right now? I mean, it doesn't connect to anything. And it really isn't necessary for bikers to travel to our boulevard with such designated, you know, path. Because it's pretty, I mean, anybody that would bike anywhere else in Erie would bike there, even feel more safe, so than they would if we change it into a designated bike path, because then it just seems to snarl things up. Unless Green Garden Road section, I consider them different. Green Garden Road is from 26 to 12. And that section would need a ton of work for to really utilize Green Garden Boulevard for any bikers anytime soon. And so I don't know where the 350 grand is going, but I'd sooner see it go into something on the perimeter, and especially Pittsburgh. And that's not even on the consideration. So I'm wondering who accounts for the money, how it's being spent, and how I don't see them having to spend much money at all on the board. So why spend it right now? Anyway, I think that's, I mean, I got a bazillion other things, but I don't think this is the place for it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else here in person that would like to speak? Okay, Emily, since you have the laptop there, do you want to just go down the list and choose people that have their hands raised?
I don't see anyone with their hands raised now, but if anyone online would like to speak, you are welcome to say something. Okay, Passel raised her hand. All right, Passel, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
I just want to say that the E&D is going to have their ad hoc committee to reorganize everything this Friday at 11. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Passel. Anyone else online that would like to make public comment? All right, I'm not hearing anything.
Yeah, I just have one thing, if there's
Okay.
nobody else online. We, just to follow up on the Green Garden bike lane. The city, I don't believe we have, do we have the date set? Can we announce it, or is it still kind of?
No, we're still finalizing that, Jason. So we'll be putting out a public notice and getting in touch with the residents along the entire corridor.
Thank you, Dave. Yeah, the city's very close to having that set, so we'll have, that date will be coming out very soon on the Green Garden bike lane. To meet with the neighborhood.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? All right, with that, then I will call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All right, moved and seconded. Before we take the vote to adjourn, I just want to announce that the next meeting of the MPO will be the coordinating committee. That meeting will be Wednesday, March 8th at 10 a.m. right here in this room and online as well, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
hopefully the projector will be working again, so we don't have to use this one.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, for attending. With that, I will accept a vote to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.